Very good morning and greetings to all. I hope all of you are doing well, and I hope all of you are at peace. So, let's talk about shame today. Shame is a very strong emotion. It is a very difficult emotion to process. And speaking dualistically, if something is synonymous with this emotion, shame can be associated with devil itself. The problem is that, well, before I go into it, let me just say that irrespective of how much shame or guilt we are experiencing, we all are pure love. We are pure unconditional love. And having an emotion dominant in one's personality structure is not an indication that the person is flawed or that the person is bad. Living with shame, one generally harbors this idea that I'm a bad person. And sometimes that thought becomes so dominant in one's mind that it becomes very difficult to get rid of that. And all that happens is that the person tries to cover up that shame, cover up that feeling by either suppressing, repressing, or by projecting it on others. So what we do is, the moment we feel shame, we immediately start projecting. You don't understand. You don't realize what I've been through. My life is like this. You just do not know what I am experiencing. So it goes on, trying to cover up the shame. But when one looks at the core of this feeling with total attention, Jiddu Krishnamurti would say, do not even move a muscle and let the total observation happen to these emotions like shame and guilt. Then there is an insight, a breakthrough into the core of that feeling. Because shame and guilt can be so debilitating, it can literally paralyze. These emotions can literally paralyze us. But when we are totally attentive to it, we go into the core of it, we get to know the fleeting nature of these emotions. Even though they are strong, their nature is still fleeting. They come and they go. They may take up a few hours or few days in some people, but they come and go. They are not the reality. They are real in the moment, but they are not the reality. But when one completely identifies with the fact that I am a bad person, I have done bad things, and I am unworthy, then it is the nature of the ego mind to actually act in a way that reinforces that feeling over and over again. Because for the ego mind, what is familiar is safe. Ego mind fears that which is unknown, unpredictable. So what we do is, we immediately come up with defenses, with projections. So we try to project shame when we experience it ourselves. So we will tell the other person, you do this, you don't do that, you are unworthy, you have shame, I don't have shame, you're not looking at yourself, you are spiritually bypassing, you are a fraud, you're a fake. What is closely tied up with shame is another emotion. It is guilt. Now, guilt shows up when one believes that they did something in the past that was shameful. Now, the thing to understand about guilt is that it is not all bad. Guilt experienced in the moment is actually not a bad thing. But guilt continued in horizontal time with the belief that one did something wrong, one should not have done this, actually fuels this whole cycle of shame and guilt repeatedly. So guilt produces shame, and then shame further produces guilt. So these two emotions are closely tied up. So Ramesh Balsekar would say that guilt is very closely associated with doership, the concept that I did something. Whereas we have often spoken about this, even the Bhagavad Gita says that you do not do anything good, neither do you do anything bad. Bhagavad Gita says that ego deluded thinks of itself as the doer. But problem is that sometimes we get so identified with the sense of separate self that we believe our core content becomes that I am the doer. And when the doership happens, one experiences this never-ending cycle of shame, guilt, pride, arrogance. So when I say that I did something good, I create pride and arrogance about it. I achieved this, I attained that, I have so many degrees, I'm highly educated, I'm so successful in my career, I have this title, I have so much money, I'm brilliant, I'm intellectual. So you see, it just constantly reinforces the sense of pride and arrogance, which is pain. And on the flip side, when we say that I did bad things, I hurt people, I try to manipulate people or control them, when I keep repeating these things, I am reactive, I'm angry. When I keep repeating these things in my mind and I believe that I did things that made people angry, that made people upset, then I create a sense of shame and guilt. Again, the shame and guilt that is experienced in the moment, in the given moment, is not the problem. That is by design. The biological organism is designed for that. And shame and guilt experienced in the moment is a pointer that a course correction is needed in the organism's action. And awareness itself is the guiding light there. So when, let's say let's say you have an altercation with someone, with a close loved one or a colleague at work, what you do? Let's say you say something nasty about their character. Now generally, when we criticize people's actions, that is not a bad thing, because criticism of action is not the criticism of the person. But when we criticize the person or tell them that they are bad or horrible for saying this or doing that, then it is the projection of our own shame, of our own inner conflict. Then what happens? You must have noticed this, that whenever that happens with you, you feel a sense of shame immediately afterwards. Shame followed by guilt. And then the ego comes up saying, oh, I should not have done that. Why do I do this? And then every time I feel horrible. Now, in that moment, there is an opportunity to reflect on what was being said, on the content, not on the person. So when we reflect on the content, for example, let's say uh, that somebody, your loved one, was not able to meet an expectation, and you got upset because of that. So one can just reflect on the content. Let's say it was your birthday, all right, and you were expecting that your husband or wife will bring you nice roses and a cake, and they forgot. They forgot it was your birthday, they didn't get you nice flowers and cake, and then you got upset and you had a big fight with them. Now you're feeling shame because you said something nasty. You said you're a horrible person, you don't care about me, you have no compassion, you have no empathy, things like, we do say things like these. I mean, I have said things like these to people. Sometimes it happens. But and then immediately afterwards there is a guilt, because the moment that cycle of that part of shame is over, immediately the ego comes up again with another emotion, which is guilt. Oh, now I say I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have hurt them. In that moment, those emotions are helping us to understand what is going on. They are a pointer inwards, not outwards, because we interacted with our loved ones, said nasty things, and that was an outward movement, and the outward movement does not help. It did not help, and it is your common experience. So guilt and shame experienced in the moment are a great pointer to move inwards. But living with the sense of guilt and shame horizontally in time is suffering. It is pure suffering. Living with this idea that I did bad things, that I said bad things, is pure suffering, is pure diversion from one's nature, which is unconditional love. No matter how we perceive ourselves, no matter the worst things that you may have done in your life, we are all made up of love. We all have capacity to love. Some are so unconscious. Sometimes the mind of certain people, the personality structure gets so distorted, where they resort to violence and crime, and they self-harm. Even those people, even the criminals, they are also made up of the same love. We are all lovable, and we are all made to love each other. But when we spend time ruminating on our actions and associating the sense of separation with those actions, saying that I did this, I did that. And one of my favorite quotes from Ramana Maharishi is that your job is not to be this or that. Your job is to be, just be. This word shame is closely tied up with the word narcissism, which is used in modern psychology. Now, I won't go into narcissism because it's a complex topic and I'm not qualified to talk about it. I will just talk about ego. So when I say narcissism, I'm just talking about an enhanced sense of separation from the rest. The ego, the separate self, where the separation is too much. That is also very closely tied up to shame. In fact, narcissism is said to be a shame-based disorder. The thing is that mind in that case becomes so extroverted and so caught up with the fantasy, with the image, one's idealized image, that it is very difficult for that mind to turn inwards and see the source of that image, see that the image is not real, and it is a futile effort to try to maintain that image. That image cannot be maintained. When I say image, what I mean is trying to show that you're strong, trying to show that you are a good person, when internally you feel that you are a horrible person, when internally you feel that you are unworthy, trying to show that you're sorted, when internally you feel broken. So there is a great contradiction. There are two forces acting here, and the mind is a split mind, fragmented mind. So such a mind lives continuously defending itself, defending the shame through outward projection. And that becomes problematic in society because that disrupts peace and harmony. Now, what masters have said is that when it is the will of God, or when the awareness decides and the mind turns inward, which is completely effortless, one can see what patterns are being played out and how they are creating unrest and disrupting peace in one's own life. The biggest, I would say, if one is to talk about the goal, although I don't like to talk about life in terms of goals, but if let's say that there is a goal in life, that goal would be to find peace of mind in daily living. Because you and me, all of us, we both have to live our life. We both, all of us, have to live our life. So the choice is, we can live our life believing that we are bad and unworthy, that we don't deserve love, or we can flip the script. Flipping the script does not require any special practices or method. Flipping the script is simply seeing that those beliefs, those core beliefs, are unreal. They are not the truth of one's existence. Flipping the script is just being with that spacious awareness that is always there, that never leaves us, and that is unconditional love. It is there unconditionally. It is the God principles that shine within us as the I. It is only the flow and strong identification with the flow that I am this or I am that. I am good, I am bad. I am moral, I am immoral. It is only this whole movement which creates problems. So when one does not identify with the movement and abides in the I am, that is one's true nature, that is peace. One experiences oneself as pure love, and that is what you are. So you can never convince me that you are not love, that you're not made up of love, or that you do not have the capacity to love. If you tell me that, I do not believe you, because I know that is coming from the separate self, that is coming from the ego, and you are not the ego. There is no ego. So challenge the belief that I am bad, that I am a horrible person. Challenge that shame. Now, when I say challenge, you don't have to fight it. Feel it. Completely feel it. Completely surrender without moving a muscle. Again, when I say muscle, this was said by Jiddu Krishnamurti, by the way. When he says muscle, don't move a muscle, what that means is not the physical muscles, but the muscles of the mind. Do not move your mental muscle and just be there with that feeling, completely attentive to it. Attend to it, feel it, and let it release. You're not to be concerned with how to do it, what to do, just feel it and release. It is only when you try to escape it, we get hold of our smartphones. Sometimes we try to find solution, but that is just avoiding of shame, that is avoiding of our core content. Labeling oneself as bad because one experiences certain emotions, that is all avoidance. Projecting on others is a defense mechanism. So we learned these patterns, we acquired these patterns, and what is acquired is not real. What is acquired is not real. What is acquired can be lost. So if it drops away, allow it to drop away. The problem is when you hold it and start believing that that is who you are, and then you say that I'm trying to change myself repeatedly but I'm failing. The thing is, you're not sincere. Do not take my words in a wrong way. When I say you're not sincere, is that you are still, what I mean is that you're still trying to avoid the problem. You're not you're not facing the problem. You're not feeling the problem head on. Because finding a solution to the problem is actually continuation of the problem. Just reflect on this for a moment. Trying to find a solution to your so perceived problem of shame, guilt, malice, spite, anxiety, or whatever you feel is a continuation of the separate self or the me. It is not a solution. It is not the solution that is going to bring relief. It is acceptance, it is surrender. It is giving up the ego and surrendering. Surrendering to what? Surrendering to awareness that is here and now. Not surrendering to an impersonal God. Not surrendering to, a personal God. But surrendering to the impersonal awareness that is here and now. Nothing needs to be done. So I thought I will share this short message with you all. I hope you all are doing great. I wish you a great day. And I will once again conclude by saying that you are pure love. You all are pure love. You are made up of love. There is nothing you can say or tell me that will convince me that you are bad. All good and bad is mind's creation. You are pure love. Love does not change, only the mind changes. Words by Nisargadatta Maharaj. Take care. Have a nice day.